numbers is crazy. Um, for example, last year we have 4 billion apps download, which is from the Vietnam game developers. And also in the top chart, we have over 90 companies from Vietnam to appear in the top chart.
Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel, and this is Henry from Tianjin. I'm based in Shanghai, and this time we have the pleasure to have Jennifer from Vietnam Game Developer Association with us, and to introduce Vietnam market to our global audience. Yeah, so hi Jennifer.
Hi, Henry.
Hi.
So
Would you
maybe,
mind that you to?
yes, go forward.
Okay, so would you mind introduce yourself a bit to our audience?
Yeah, sure. So, hi everyone. Thanks a lot, Henry and Tanjin team, for inviting me for this sharing about Vietnam game development. So, my name is Hai. As you see, I'm from the Vietnam Game Developer Association. A very brief introduction about myself. I have 8 years working in the gaming industries. I crossed many different roles. I start with the business role and then come from policy manager. Even I was a CEO of an indie game studio. And currently, I serve as chief of staff of Vietnam Game Developer Association. So we as an organization have over 18 members who support and leverage for the development of game development community in Vietnam. And at the same time, I'm CEO of Game Geek. We as an organization, a central hub to connect indie game studio with the necessary resources. So that's pretty it about myself.
Oh, great. So as in Tianjin, we also help a lot of indie teams to grow their business globally, and we have some amount of customers from Vienna as well, and we're hoping to help more from Vienna market.
Yes.
So for today, we have a few questions prepared in advance. So the first one is for you. It's why do you think that there's such a boom in mobile game development industry in Vietnam?
Yes, thanks for a question. I hope that it's not only my thinking, but a lot of people think that Vietnam has a booming for mobile games from Vietnam. That's a great question actually, because that I'm already in the gaming industry in Vietnam for 8 years, and from my personal perspective, it changed a lot, a huge change when I first start. At that time, I know everyone in the community, every company who the CEO. But currently, every time when we have the industry meetup, we see a lot of new faces. But also, I think I try to prepare some numbers since I know that you would ask about the numbers in Vietnam. I don't have it updated yet since we will have it for next week. But from last year, from Google Think Apps, we have a couple of numbers to show that we really changed a lot since COVID-19 around 3 to 4 years, last 2 to 4 years. The number is crazy. Um, for example, last year we have 4 billion apps download, which is from the Vietnam game developers. And also in the top chart, we have over 90 companies from Vietnam to appear in the top chart. And also, I think for the number from the government, approximately we have 400 game companies here in Vietnam and over 1,500 indie game developers. So I mean, those such numbers is huge, and even with the community builder like us, we kind of very surprised with how big the number is.
Yeah, those are really great numbers. Like from my
Yeah.
perspective, like I'm originally from China, like Chinese developer is also a really big community. But from what I'm seeing, Vietnam, I do agree and definitely agree that Vietnam is a huge market for any of the in gaming industry. And whenever I go to any of the industry conference in Europe and also in North America, I see a lot of like Southeast Asian people, including Vietnamese developing teams, there tend to show their works to the global audience. That is really amazing. And over the past 5 years with changing, I also worked with a good amount of Vietnamese developers, and some of them really did exceptional work.
Mm,
And of course, industry changed, moved from genre to genre in the past few years. And I think not only Vietnamese developers, but many other countries, the developer community has been trying to move to meet the what market is actually looking at.
yes.
So
So just
yeah.
add on a little bit about this. I think what you say is very makes sense. One thing we noticed about the booming in Vietnam, we go along a lot with hyper casual games. So you can see
Mhm,
that we have, you see the numbers is crazy, but however, we also recognize that all of them are kind of very indie game studio or indie game
mhm,
developers. It's very,
mhm,
very easy to go along with hyper casual games since they
mhm,
not require a huge team, they're just very small team and get very quick on the process of the game cycle. So that's why I
mhm,
say that in from past 4 or 5 years, we have the booming, just go along with hyper casual games.
mhm. Yes, sort of similar with changing. We helped a lot of hyper casual teams to scale up their business with our products and services.
Yes.
That is also leads to the second question on my end is what gaming trends do you currently seeing in Vietnam? Is there any like a genre change? What are the what are they talking about in Vietnam market? Are they trying to move from hyper casual to any other genres, or is there anything like going on?
Yes, agree for that. It's a good question since the market changed a lot during the last 2 years. Changed a lot. So of course we have some kind of trending and different kind of trends. So in Vietnam, the very interesting about the game makers is that they are very young. Though they were born in the mobile era, they work with short content, adopt a lot of the changes. So whenever we see we need to change, they change and flexible a lot since they not a big team, they small team. Anything is affect a lot, impact a lot by the market situation. When the ECPMs is not in a good case for last 2 years, CPI increase, and Vietnamese game developer also have to find their way to keep the business run well. So they tend to like other hyper casual games. They have to move a lot on hybrid. Of course, we still stay major in hyper casual games, but a part of them need to find a way, set a dedicated team to working on hybrid card games, try to make higher LTV. And one of the things I observed that most of the game studio here in Vietnam tries to make part of the game, which case is more complex, it's more have you the ability to get higher LTV or longer lifetime of the users. So
Mhm.
what is very obvious that they're working more on puzzle and hybrid casual games.
Yeah. It is very similar to what we are seeing on our platform, that many of the hyper casual, they are trying to add more in-app purchase into their games, trying to move
Yes.
to hybrid. But also it's hard. It's not easy. It's never been easy to move between genres. Like
Yes.
many, we're also seeing a lot of team are kind of struggling to uh, have a mention a lower CPI and also trying to increase their ECPM. So that is not an easy job, but still that is how what we're seeing the whole hyper casual genre teams are pretty much all been trying to do. At
Yes.
least in the
Okay.
past few years, and then I think it's still the thing they are trying to do as of today.
Yes, I agree.
Puzzle game is also, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I would like to
Please.
add for sorry, sometimes I really remember something. For
Mhm.
hypercasual games, I think it's still going on and working in Vietnamese game developers. However, I see that
Mhm.
they add more content, and more much longer content, story meta
Mhm. Mhm.
into the games. So I think there's also some trends that not a kind of trends, the necessary from the market, but we see here they do a lot. Have a huge team working on content here at our into the hypercasual to make it more meta and keep the lifetime users longer.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, which also leads to the next question is what are the main challenges for those developers from what you are seeing in Vietnam?
Yeah. It's a good question when we ask me because I'm working on association. So we have to really define the challenges and weakness from the
Mhm,
market to we have to identify to find a way to solve it. So
mhm,
actually, as a association, we try to make it like challenges in the long term and challenges for the short term,
mhm,
so that we can handle the solutions. So for for the long term, as an industry, we recognize that we are very young industries in Vietnam, just already just booming from the last 4 to 5 years. And the major thing we recognize is that we really lacking of human resources, the talents
mhm,
to provide for the game studio who can work or like AA, triple A games. Since we
mhm,
not have a long experience of working on this kind of game, and so the kind of things is especially some of the roles like game designer or experienced project managers, and our official education system to just add for gaming in the education it just lasts 2 or 3 years. So we just have the first university here in Vietnam this year to, to start to teach for game designer and game developers for the first time. I mean that's really a challenge when we get the booming and we want to have the very quality of games. So we try to solve it. This is a very, very long term challenges.
mhm.
For the short term, I think it impacts a lot by the market general. So you already know that we have to balance. We still want to make the good business by using our competitives, like we're working on quick game, good content, adopt a lot of trending. But at the same time, we have to balance by the market, like ECPM, CPI, everything, making more better games. So this is a challenge about the making better quality in the limited resources. So this is how we define the challenges. And I think the another thing will be because we have the restructure from the hyper-casual game to hybrid. That means that also we have the restructure a lot of on the human resources. Some of the people working on hyper-casual could not working on hybrid or mid-core game and
Yeah.
casual game.
Mhm.
So that's also a challenge which you have to build a system in the company who can improve or grow the person who can working on better products.
Yeah. Uh, Totally agree that the talent is the first priority in any industry. That
Yes.
what I can share is from my experience that heard like a lot of the AAA studios in Shanghai, those Mihail, those kind of companies, they hire a lot of ex people from entertainment industry. They do also the
Yes.
CGI stuff with big pay raise. But they are making a lot of money, so they have the budget to do that. But the thing is, can be a bit different for many of the relatively smaller or medium-sized hyper-casual studios. They are under budget. They also still want the talent to learn new things from in try to do more stuff in hybrid or in mid-core or in hardcore games. So that would be something that uh, mm, can be very challenging. But still, long-term speaking, um, education can be get improved, and the people have to adapt for the future world. I think that is
Yeah.
something we all have to to learn.
Yeah. Good.
Uh, okay. The last question on my end is, what did you predict for the next 1 or 2 years? I wouldn't ask for too long. The next 1 or 2 years, this and the next year. What do you think? Is there any things going to be change on the market, or like how does your community members are thinking on the next 1 or 2 years?
Uh, I love the prediction. I have quite a good sense about the prediction. So that is, for the next 2 years, I mean, we already across for the first half of 2024, and it's not easy at all,
Mhm.
specifically with the Vietnamese game developers community here in Vietnam. So what I observed, the first thing, the training, the prediction, I strongly can see that we will apply more AI into the game production. Uh, I see a lot of application right now in Vietnam. They use, still not a lot, but then I see more and more solution approach into game studio in Vietnam, not only for game production, but also one thing that for marketing. So I mean, marketing is something that Vietnam games do, and especially some game publishers in Vietnam do really well, and they have more power when they use AI into the application. So the first thing I'm for sure that we will see more application for AI into the gaming industries. Especially, I am so excited to see it, how it changed the industries. The
Mhm.
second thing I still think that we will not see a big change in the market outside of hybrid casual since it's still on the way, and the game studios still find a way to working well on hybrid casual. So what I see in the Vietnamese game developer, they still try to find a way to succeed in hybrid casual and
Mhm.
puzzle game. This is
Mhm.
another thing. The last thing maybe I recognize in Vietnam, no, not the last thing, but the next thing I recognize in Vietnam is that mm, I may say a restructure about the human resources in Vietnam. Since you already know that Vietnam will be a little bit delayed, I see a massive layoff in the big game companies in the world.
Mhm.
In Vietnam, we don't have that kind of mass layoff. We see a lot of switch, a lot of changes.
Mhm.
Like some of the game studio working on even mid-core, hardcore. They try to
Mhm.
work with casual games. Is that interesting?
Mhm.
Some of the hypercasual game they travel, they had to set up and learn something to work on hybrid, a switch. Some company go off, they close it, but a lot open, new open. So this is a chances for many new game studio if they can catch the opportunities. And
Mhm.
the last thing I see in Vietnam, before that many indie game studios they try to publish by themselves. But now in
Mhm.
Vietnam we got some of the very big game publishers and more game studio in this difficult situation. They tend to working with game publishers in Vietnam. So I hope that we
Mhm.
got more top publishers in the top of game publishers from Vietnam.
Yeah. Totally makes sense. Self-publishing has never been easy.
Yes.
um, we also seeing some similar trends in the past few years. With many of the EMEA or even North America studios trying to change their traditional way to working with developers, and those developers try to start self-publishing. There was some success, but as not as always it could be. Everyone try to self-publish can make a success.
Yeah.
It's never been easy. So the world has changing very fast. um, but everything's changing. Like there's still a war going on, and also U.S. election, and it seems many of the economy globally are kind of still struggling. But it seems similar in gaming. Um, I wouldn't say it's easier or hard, but it's just the how we are projecting in the next one or
Yes.
2 year. We have to put ourselves in a survival mode and to try as much as possible to make it to next year and then the year next year.
Yes. I agree.
Okay. I think that's all on my end, and really appreciate your time for today. And uh, and I think that's it.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having this sharing. I hope that you got more information and understand more about the Vietnamese game developer community situation here.
Yes, yes, definitely.